test boxes. As the title says, it's an on-demand sandbox environment for development and test purposes. I know that the name is quite long and it also sounds like the name of the thesis or something, but it actually reflects the effort that the team made on this project in terms of research and development. Before I start, I will just introduce a bit about myself. I'm Jorge Claro. I'm an electrical engineer and I joined Pipedrive at the beginning of last year on the DevOps team. So let's start about Pipedrive. I don't know if anyone of you knows, or if anyone of you knows about Pipedrive or what it is. But Pipedrive is a SaaS CRM platform to salespeople, and we have more than 80,000 customers, and most of them are SMBs. In terms of our offices, we are located in 6 offices, and we have more than 450 employees at the moment. Some numbers about Pipedrive: we have 3 deployment regions, one in the US, one in the EU, and one for management services. We have more than 450 microservices, 6 programming languages that we support at the moment, 2 container and orchestration systems, but we have no dedicated testing team at all. So we have some topology analysts, but those are mostly integrated in the other tribes at the moment. To start this talk, I will talk about the problem that we are trying to solve. And the problem is, in fact, it's hard to test code before deployment. And what we realized that during the last year, in terms of the issues that we have been having deploying the code in the different regions, and we had to set a goal to solve this problem. So as a goal, we defined that we would like to provide an always up-to-date development and test environment for our tribes. And to accomplish with that goal, we started to investigate the current solutions that most of the IT companies uses today at the moment, and the most common ones are these three ones: to use a single company-wide development environment, to use team-dedicated development environments, or to use local run the environment locally on developer laptops. So those are the most common ones. We don't actually use all of them, but we use the team one, and we also run the environment locally on developer laptops at the moment in Pipedrive. So for each one of these solutions, I will just present some pros and cons for each of them. One of them, for the first one, for the single company-wide, I have to mention that it's since it's a single environment, it means less resources in terms of infrastructure. It will be easier for infra team to mirror the last deployed version in live on that environment, and all the features that Pipedrive supports should be there in that environment. But in the other side, as cons, we have to mention that since we have only one development region or test region, all the teams will be working in there at the same time, and that can cause some issues. Some of them are related with the service versioning, for example, since we are using a rolling release approach for deploying in live. It will be really hard to keep track what version is deployed and what version is really stable in there. So that causes us also some issues to keep the environment healthy at some way. So it's really hard to test out breaking changes, for example, on shared pieces of code that several teams have to work on that at the same time. So since it's a single company-wide environment, there is no ownership over it. So it's quite hard to use this kind of approach for our solutions in Pipedrive. So the second one I'm going to talk about is to use multiple team dedicated environments. We actually use this approach or use this approach in the past in Pipedrive for almost 1 year. We call those color boxes, since our teams were called with color names. So we had blue boxes, red boxes. So we call those color boxes. That's why the name comes there, from there. And there are some pros and cons as well for that approach. Since it's a team dedicated environment, it's a fully isolated environment between tribes, and that helps a lot with testing some breaking changes in there. It made it easier for developers to test their code, that other teams can be also changing some shared parts of the code on the same code without conflicting between those. And each one of the teams were responsible to keep that environment healthy in some way. So as cons, I can refer that that caused a huge amount of resources being stalled or being used or not being used by the teams, and that caused some issues with the infra team to support all of those. We had around 15 color boxes. Those color boxes had a long and complex provisioning time, so it took almost 45 minutes to get one of those working, fully working. And those, as we are using a rolling release approach, become outdated very frequently. That caused a false perception of stability on that environment. So that caused also some issues that when deploying those services in the color box, everything seems to be working fine, but actually when developers tried to deploy it in live, it caused some issues, and they are not really stable, and no one knows about that. Since with this approach, we had the isolated environment, but no visibility of what service versioning was there, and if the Testbox was really healthy or not. The color box was healthy or not in the end. The last solution for the existing ones that I'm going to talk is to run the code directly on the developer laptops. Since it's a distributed environment, so make things easier for infra team to manage that. Testing code changes can be done quite immediately in the developer laptop, and those can help us to change breaking changes and shared parts of the code also. There are some cons that I have to mention, that we cannot run all the hundreds of services that Pipedrive has on each one of the developers' laptops, so we had to select just a small set of them for the core ones that we are used to deploying there for everyone's developer laptops. And there are still some shared parts of the infrastructure that are shared, so like databases, message queues, etc. And in the end, it's still very slow. Just to summarize, I can refer that those solutions were not enough. So we can summarize that they are our resource hogs in the end, hard to scale, outdated. We had bad visibility over the services. Those were shared and limited in the end in terms of number of services we can deploy in there. Now I'm going to talk about text boxes. That's actually the title of this talk. And we started to work on Testbox's project in April last year, and we started to set the objectives that we want to solve with this project. So to achieve that goal that we talked about in the beginning, we set that Testbox's lifecycle would be should be easy to manage. So it should be easy to create those test boxes. It should be easy to use them and to destroy them in the end. And instead of using team dedicated environments that are assigned permanently, we decided that we should not do that. It should be easier or more convenient to just assign it to a team when they need the environment, and then when it's not needed anymore, they can release the resources so other team can use those for other projects. All test boxes, as the same approach we did with color boxes, should be network isolated and contain only the minimum service set of services that should accomplish or should be needed for accomplish a functionality. For example, mail, calendar, marketplace, or automation features, for example. To achieve those goals and those objectives, we inside the team decided that we should implement the test boxes as fully Dockerized. So that will help us to manage the team's infrastructure. All the existing tooling that it's currently available in live environment should be also available in text boxes environment in the same way. It should be easy to manage those in terms of life cycle, as I mentioned before. So all the tests with creating test boxes, destroying them, using them, deploying services into them should be managing a single UI, and it should be easy to accomplish with that tasks. To personalize the environment accordingly with the developer and team tribes needs, we decided that we would create templates for that. Templates, it's like a minimum set of services to accomplish a functionality, as I mentioned before, and that should be the way that we should go with it. In the end, all the life cycle of test boxes should be well-known and automated to solve this problem. So in terms of architecture, we are using Docker Swarm, and we are using it because it provides us network overlay networks that will help us to expand in terms of infrastructure if we need in the future, and make the connection between the services and the databases really easy. So now I'm going to talk about the text box lifecycle. As you can see, it can be summarized in 3 major stages: provision, customization, and destruction. The provision is it's where all the services or all the core services, databases, message queues, and minimum set of services that are the core ones are deployed on test boxes. The customization part is where test boxes are personalized according with the developer needs and tribe needs. So we add the missing features that are not there by default, the missing services, and after that, the text boxes should be ready to use by the developers. In the end, when the text boxes are not needed anymore, we can destroy them. So that's the last part. Getting a little bit more detail, if we take a look on the bottom on the squares, the first one says that text box is available. It's just a reference of a slot that text box really exists and should be handled as one. That we have an automation system, a scheduler, that will pick up all the available text boxes and start the provision process automatically. And when the provision process is ready with all those services and databases, text boxes are tagged as ready. And we have a pool of them, so every team and every developer that needs a test box will request one from the pool of the ready ones. For requesting a test box, the developer just needs to provide a small description, select a template with the services they configured before as they need for a specific feature, for example, automation, and the customization step will take place. So at this point, as soon as the customization takes place and the text box is taken, it's taken with whatever they want, but there's a catch. All text boxes should have TTL on it, or specified on when they are requested. So when the developer are done with the tests, they can destroy them immediately. So they can mark it as rotten, so it can be destroyed. But if no one destroys the test box manually, there is a TTL that will destroy that automatically after some time. The text box manager is our automation system. It provides an UI that will make this process easier for developers. It provides information about the name, description, the template that is being used, what tribe it's using, the Testbox at the moment, its status, and some control buttons in the end, so it can link to the tools that are needed just in the like environment. There's a second screen where the developers can choose the services that they want to add on the customization stage. Also, it's quite easy to add the services in there with some name description, the type of the template, status of it, and the control buttons in the front. So before I finish, I have to present some results of this project. So with this, we were able to provide full visibility of the Testbox status and container health check. So that's one of the features that we had not with any of the previous solutions or existing ones. We were able to personalize the environment according with each one of the developer teams with the templates configuration. And we were able to keep the Testbox's environment constantly up to date. So we do that in two ways. One is the fact that the Testboxes are recycled quite frequently. So when they are not needed anymore or they expired with the TTL, they are rebuilt, and we rebuilt with the latest version that is currently on the master branches of every service. And the second one is the fact that even Testbox is in ready state for a long time. There's a scheduler that will make sure that all the new versions of the services are periodically added or updated on that Testboxes as well. The last feature that I mentioned, it's we have an automatic dependency resolution between microservices. This feature is not actually being active, and it's not active at the moment. It's implemented, but it's not being used. But we plan to do that in the next months. That feature, it's like just a helper for developers to don't miss any service that it's really a dependency of other services that they want to deploy in the Testbox. So if, for example, I deploy a service A that depends on the service B, if no one specifies the service B, it will be deployed in Testbox automatically as well. Some numbers, we have currently 31 Testboxes. The provision time, it's around 10 minutes. I think I checked it a few minutes ago. I think it's a bit less than that. Currently, it's around 8 minutes and 50 seconds or so. The customization time, it's around 2 minutes. It depends on the number of services that we want to deploy as a template. And as I said, the TTL is by default 1 day. That TTL can be extended by developers if they need to, and if they want to do that for more 2-3 days if they need. But by default, if no one configures anything, it will be destroyed after 1 day. And now I have just a small demo just to show you. I'm not sure if do I have to select the create Testbox on the top here. We have to select your tribe as in this case DevOps tooling. Gives a small description as to what you want to test with it. Select a template. With the template, we can choose a template, for example, for automation services, for example, if you are working on automation, for example. Okay, and just click on create. Or, well, now if you scroll down to on the page, you can see that Testbox 19 was requested on the right, and after a few minutes we'll be starting with the customization step automatically. And you can see that already the description is in there. There's already a small reference for the tribe, actually. And if you click on the first icon on the right, on the control buttons, you can see that if you click in there, yeah, I can click in the first one. On the first one. Yeah, well. If you click on the first one, you can see that even if the service is not really deployed in there, automation services, there's actually a valid platform for starting to work with. So it's already with the core services in there, and it's ready to use to test out the changes in there. So you can create an account, and even if the services for automation it's not there yet, so it's currently being deployed, we can already access the web app and try to work with it. And that's it for me.